like Clark, I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols, reaming my body.
Alright guys, the question that's kind of being flown under the radar, and it was pretty much understandable mainly because Ichigo Tsugi was arguably one of the best villains of Boruto, or excuse me, the best villain of Boruto, and of course Momoshiki now has to step up and take that mantle. But regardless, now we're in a particular situation where Momoshiki has the significant upper advantage, and now we're just completely stuck. This right here has to be one of the best situations for Momoshiki himself. You have to understand what Momoshiki is thinking as right now. For Momoshiki, Ichigo Tsugi was the big blood. He was the boss. He was the guy that Momoshiki had to take down and possibly had to stay away from to potentially get what he needed, which is to actually reborn into the body of Boruto. Now it seems like Momoshiki didn't even have to lift a finger and Ichigo Tsugi is already done. Now the next two ops in this particular situation, they are down bad. Naruto himself, we don't even know if he's going to be alive in the next couple of episodes just because of the sheer fact that he entered the barrier mode. And not only that, Ichigo Tsugi himself significantly weakened Sasuke, so of course this is like the perfect window for Momoshiki to pop out and basically do what he needs to do, which is basically take out his next two ops, which is Sasuke and Naruto. Now for us, for the good guys, there's going to be a lot of questions. Now the first thing is going to be, who is actually going to be fighting against Momoshiki? By far the most popular answer is going to have to be Sasuke, just because of the sheer fact that we don't know about Naruto, and of course let's be honest, Kawaki can't fight against Momoshiki. Kawaki would get absolutely destroyed. But in this particular situation, the worst case scenario for Sasuke would probably be to fight against Momoshiki while Sasuke is weakened without a whole Rinnegan. Me, along with a bunch of other YouTubers, basically outlined a litany of possibilities for how Sasuke can potentially keep his Rinnegan, but as I said, this right here would probably be the worst case scenario. Now in my opinion, I think this right here would probably have to be the best case scenario, and this is not just for this fight alone, this is for Boruto long term. Not necessarily a super long term minimum, because this right here isn't necessarily a permanent fix for this, but I think it's definitely possible for Sasuke to put Momoshiki under a genjutsu to basically make or force Boruto to pop back up into his actual consciousness and to kind of keep Momoshiki at bay. I think that right there would probably be the best idea. Now of course we have to understand Sasuke right now, he probably is extremely weakened, so we don't necessarily know exactly if he has 100% of his visual prowess. We already know he doesn't have 100% of his visual prowess just because of the sheer fact that his Rinnegan is completely gone. But in terms of his Mangekyo Sharingan, we understand that Sasuke does possess some sort of level of genjutsu, and that right there could possibly be a key to actually keeping Momoshiki at bay. Now we talked about the possibility already of Sasuke potentially using the Izanagi, and that right there would pretty much destroy his Mangekyo Sharingan. Now in terms of actual genjutsu coming from his Rinnegan, we don't necessarily know 100% just because of the sheer fact that when Sasuke did actually get his Rinnegan, he didn't really use a lot of genjutsu just because of the sheer fact that the people he was fighting against were damn near immune to genjutsu. Madara, Obito, Kaguya, Kinshiki in his real body, Momoshiki in his real body, final form Momoshiki, you guys get the point. Of course he did use genjutsu later on in the Naruto Shippuden series, but that right there definitely did seem like it came from the Mangekyo Sharingan. So if Sasuke does elect to use the Izanagi to potentially save his Rinnegan, it wouldn't necessarily be a very good sight for Sasuke. Now, one thing that we do have to understand is that Sasuke alone plus a character like Momoshiki, let's just say regular form Momoshiki, I think that right there would still be a tough scene just because of the sheer fact that Sasuke right now is extremely hurt because of what Ichigo Tsugi did to him in the previous battle. We understand a lot of people have been complaining about how Sasuke have not been a very big focal point in the past couple of chapters. We have to understand that it's for a very good reason. Sasuke, as of right now, after what Ichigo Tsugi did to him, he's not necessarily 100%, and of course him going against a character like Momoshiki being 100%. Now we don't necessarily know the exact power scaling just because of the sheer fact that he's in the body of Boruto, but we have to understand that right there's going to be most likely more or less damn near 100% Momoshiki, and I don't necessarily think that Sasuke alone is going to be enough to actually take down Momoshiki at this particular level. Now of course he could potentially get some help from a character like Kawaki. I just don't necessarily think it's going to be that effective. The wild card in all this has to be Naruto. In the last chapter he didn't necessarily get to finish exactly what he was saying about his new form and if he was actually alright. After Ichigo Tsugi was completely finished, Sasuke and Naruto were talking, and Sasuke was asking Naruto if he was okay, and Naruto basically said, "What about yourself? You seem to be more messed up than me." A naive person reading that would probably think that Naruto's 100% good or he's completely healthy. Now we know that the barrier mode is gonna more than likely not have a lot of side effects to actually using the form. A lot of people hope that it's not going to kill Naruto, but there is that definite possibility that it's going to kill Naruto. But also there is that variable of Masashi Kishimoto taking over the Boruto series, and because of that, it is more possible now that Naruto is going to be fine from the barrier mode and potentially be able to help Sasuke in the battle versus Momoshiki. Now, if that is the situation, Naruto can actually give some sort of assistance to Sasuke. Not saying that Naruto is going to be 100% there. I'm pretty sure Sasuke is going to be a lot more healthy than Naruto, even if the barrier mode is not going to kill Naruto. If Naruto could potentially provide some assistance, like I'm talking the level of Rusty Naruto when he did fight against Shin Uchiha, if he could provide that much help, I'm pretty sure and I'm pretty confident they would actually beat Momoshiki. One of the best possibilities in my opinion that we could possibly leave here with is of course Boruto fighting back against Momoshiki and taking back over his body. And this, similar to the Genjutsu possibility with Sasuke, this right here isn't necessarily just for this battle. What we have to understand is that Boruto is going to have to fight a long-term battle with Momoshiki, basically trying to take over his body. And of course Boruto is going to be a long-term threat for not only the Hidden Leaf Village but also the ninja world as a whole, basically the whole planet. If that is actually the case, Boruto, Sasuke, somebody has to have a long-term sustained plan of how to keep Momoshiki at bay, and this right here could potentially be the start of that. If Boruto, not saying that Boruto just in the next chapter completely kicks Momoshiki out and completely finds a way to basically keep Momoshiki at bay, I'm not saying that. If Boruto can just, for this moment alone, kick Momoshiki out of his consciousness and just basically come back to life, like, hey, I don't know how I did that, that right there would be a very good sign, a significant step forward, because I'm pretty sure in the future Naruto, Sasuke, and Kawaki, they're gonna have to answer to some other Kages, to some other elders about how they are actually going to control this threat. And if they can't necessarily give any tangible solutions, they might have to order the execution of Boruto just for the safety of the ninja world. So Boruto's control over Momoshiki, if that were to happen, would be absolutely critical. And of course the same thing with Sasuke's Genjutsu. But I do want to know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Give me some of your opinions about how they could actually beat Momoshiki and possibly get Momoshiki out of the consciousness of Boruto. As I said, the two best case scenarios I could possibly see right now is Boruto fighting back and him just maintaining consciousness and maintaining control of his own body, and also Sasuke putting Boruto under a Genjutsu. I don't necessarily think that those are going to be the most realistic situations, but I think those right there are going to be the best case scenarios. But let me know what you guys think. It's been your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.